Hey Internet, I'm Chaz.
And I'm Dan. Welcome to Wine is Serious Business, episode 360. We're back today in the Collectors Club of Willamette Wine Storage. So happy to be here. Thanks to Willamette Wine Storage for letting us do this show here.
Yeah.
It's pretty rad. And an even bigger thanks to a couple of local collectors, Heidi and Ken, for donating some incredible bottles for us to talk about in this episode 360.
Yeah, these are all Salud Cuvees from Domaine Drouhin. Salud Cuvees come from the Salud auctions that happen every year. There's a healthcare company called Tuality that combined with some Oregon wine producers to basically start an auction to help provide health care for all of the vineyard workers, all the seasonal workers that come through and do all the picking of the grapes and do a lot of the hard labor that happens every year here in Oregon.
Yep, and they do a great thing to make it accessible. They even bring a truck out to the vineyards so people can go visit the mobile clinic, get checkups right there. All supported by the wineries. All the wineries that select their best barrels every year and bottle a Salud Cuvee that is only sold at this auction. So we're starting out with the wine that Ken donated. Just another big wine collector. Yeah, supporter of the local wine industry. 1998. I was just reading a little bit about that. It was a very cool start to the vintage that kept crops small. But the fruit was even more concentrated. They said the 1994, which until I had read that, I would have sworn up and down that 1994 was the smallest berries, smallest crops. But just said 98.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
A lot of nice aged notes going on here, like a little bit of leather, but still some fresh strawberry fruit, I think, that makes me think of the Dundee Hills.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit of the age sort of characteristic that comes from like soy sauce or umami. Just hints of that, but then combined with like fresh fruit flavors, maybe a bit of like strawberry and balsamic or something like that.
So delicate on contact. I really love that. The quality of acidity here remains delicate throughout the palate, keeps things light, keeps things fresh. Based on the acidity, I wouldn't guess that this was an old wine. A little of those little mushroomy, soy flavors.
The dusty and the leatheriness.
A little bit of that comes in.
That comes through.
The flavor does. I would say just on the texture it doesn't taste.
Gotcha. Yeah. Sorry.
I agree.
Missed that part. Yeah. No, there's like this dusty and leatheriness to it that definitely tells you this is an older wine. But the structural elements, like the acidity and the tannins, are all together and very nice. No.
It brings that delicacy that you want from Pinot Noir. And it's impressive to think that that wines hold up this well for 20 years.
All right, next
on to wine number 2.
So onward, this is the 2002 Domaine Drouhin Salud Cuvee.
2002 was a warmer year. Was a really famous year for a long time.
It was, yeah.
And one of my favorites. That's right around when I started drinking wine when the O2s were released. Really fell in love with a lot of them. Mm-hmm. There's talk about it being a little bit on the warmer side, and I think that's really come through in the past 5 or so years, where I've seen some of the O2s start to fall off, be a little alcoholic, have a little overripe fruit showing, but I heard people saying good things about this. I'm really excited to try it.
The nose right now is like all like maraschino cherries and like dark chocolate to me or something.
Oh, the dark chocolate's dead on, I think. Yeah, a little bit of blackberry. I think the strawberry from the 98 really isn't coming through here. It's more like, raspberries, blackberries, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, that chocolate really comes through on the palate, too, later. Definitely has more richness to it. The acidity is still fresh. Keeps things really bright on the front of the palate.
It starts out with this like kind of tart edge and then just evolves into this floral, bright fruited mid-palate.
This is tremendous.
This is really good.
Yeah.
This is delicious.
I feel like that's one of the things I really love about wine, when you get that evolution on the palate, man, and then that bright fruit fades into kind of resolved but still present tannins, a little bit of that chocolate flavor coming from the oak barrel. So like multiple stages of evolution on the palate. This is in an incredible spot. The best O2 I've had in years.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Yeah, this is a damn good bottle of wine.
Yeah, absolutely. And the wine number 3, so 2003 was about when Chaz started to get into Oregon Pinot Noir, which is a tough time. But little bit of dark fruits coming through, but the secondary flavors or aromas, I think, are more dominant than the previous 2 wines.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a little bit of like cacao, like chocolate powder or something like that. Cacao powder, leather. Yeah, just totally different. The flavor is the fruit flavors are a secondary character.
And I also think it's worth noting though that I'm not getting any heat on the nose. More cranberry fruit, and I think a little more dusty on the palate than the previous wines. Still no heat, but I think the acidity is notably lower than the other ones. I think the structure is a little more tannin driven. Definitely not as bright in its age as the previous 2.
No. It tastes like cherry pie. I mean, it's got like a stewed fruit thing going on, with like a disjointed characteristics of like the acidity and the tannins are sort of disjointed from the rest of the fruit flavors for me. I think drinking this right behind the 02 was probably really doing it a disservice.
That's where the 03s have been their entire lives.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. No, absolutely.
Still a nice wine.
Chocolatey.
If I had these, I'd drink them up right now. There's nothing that
Absolutely,
I'd be excited about, like what happens next. I think it's in a good spot. Definitely no heat. Still great among 03s with this kind of age on it. I don't think many of them would be even drinkable today. This is still
A lot
quite
aren't.
enjoyable.
Yeah. This is still an enjoyable wine. I could see this being really good. Like this, because it's like almost saying like this is steak wine, right? Like
Yeah, sure.
Big tannins, big acid, like rich flavors. This would actually probably be really good with steak. Just saying.
Domaine Drouhin's a big estate in France, which really made history and was one of the keys in putting Oregon on the map for the international audience. When they brought fruit here, they sent their daughter Veronique over to train at Eyrie. You know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, which was a great story. And then bought land, started the winery here, and were instantly recognized as bringing that expertise in producing great Pinot Noir in the New World. And they still do it to this day. And personally, I think one of their hallmarks and why I like to stay involved with their wines is I think their stuff ages incredibly well.
Let's move on to the fourth and final wine, the 2004.
The notes for the vintage say that it was similar to 03, where it was pretty warm throughout the year, but bookended by a little bit of a cold snap in the beginning that reduced crops, and a little and more rain in the end, which kind of slowed down the ripening and provided a little bit of extra time. And I'd say I've had similar experiences. I haven't had a lot of 04s that really disappointed me. I've had a lot that were just really middling and a few great ones.
Same.
More earthy than the previous three. When you talk about the secondary flavors, I'd say that it's resolved more towards earth flavors than leather, which is interesting.
Sure, earthiness and like, do you get any milk chocolate? Like it smells sort of milk chocolatey to me, as opposed to the 2002, which was like dark chocolatey. This is
also very dark fruit.
Yeah.
Kind of silky, kind of dusty, but has a much more weight to it, like a bunch of silk across the palate than the previous three.
It does. Yeah, interesting like flavor profile. Like fruit is definitely in the forefront as opposed to some of the previous wines. Like really like riper cherries, but leading into like underripe strawberries. There's like this kind of like strange flavor in the mid palate fruit, like the strange fruit flavor in the mid palate that I'm struggling to come up with.
I think where this really stands out compared to the previous three is this is one I'd like to see age more.
I agree. The structure's still strong and pretty dominant, so the hope is that would resolve a little bit more, but I don't know.
And definitely the fruitiest of the four, too. If you like that brighter, fresh blackberry fruit, man, as I have more sips, that fruit's really enjoyable on the mid palate. Boy, it's really fun to taste wines like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's arguably that hillside, right? That area of the Red Hills of Dundee produces some of the best Pinot Noir in Oregon.
Sure.
So if not America.
No,
right?
best vineyard site in America. If you ask me, that's
same.
Yeah. All right.
So picked a good site.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's funny. Thanks again to Heidi and Ken for contributing such great wines.
Thanks
to
so much.
Alignment Wine Storage for hosting us. Thanks to you guys for watching.
Please provide any feedback. Hopefully, we'll see some comments on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll see you guys next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.